74 minutes. The Emirates Stadium, Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 1. The equaliser had given the home crowd just enough hope to breathe again. Victor Gyokeres had converted that penalty with ice-cold composure, and for a brief moment it felt like Arsenal were going to find a way through. The crowd was alive, the players were pushing, the title was still firmly in their hands. Then Alex Scott got the ball, a boyhood Tottenham fan, standing inside the Emirates Stadium in the 74th minute of a Premier League match that Arsenal absolutely had to win, and he scored. Bournemouth 2, Arsenal 1. The stadium went quiet in a way that only happens when something truly significant has just occurred, not just a goal conceded, not just 3 points dropped, something bigger, something that changes the shape of an entire season, because here is what that goal meant in real terms. Before today, Arsenal sat 9 points clear at the top of the Premier League with 7 games remaining. They had the title in their hands. They had the breathing room to absorb a bad result and still recover. That comfort, that cushion, that sense of control, all of it began to crack the moment that ball hit the back of the net in the 74th minute. And it was not just the goal that told the story, it was everything that came before it. 15 Arsenal shots, 34 touches inside the Bournemouth box, 10 corners, 52.7% possession, an expected goals figure of 2.41 compared to Bournemouth's 1.20. Arsenal had done everything the statistics say a dominant team should do, and they still lost. That is the moment we are starting from today, not the final whistle, not the press conference, not the table after the game. We are starting right there in the 74th minute, when a 13th place team with nothing to play for walked into Arsenal's home and broke something that may take everything this squad has left to repair. This is Melissa, Arsenal analyst, and today we are going to break down exactly what happened, why it happened, and what it means for the most important weeks of Arsenal's season. Stay with me because this one goes deep. The numbers from this game tell a story that is almost impossible to believe if you only look at the surface. Arsenal had 15 shots, Bournemouth had 8. Arsenal had 34 touches inside the opposition box, Bournemouth had 18. Arsenal completed 313 passes, Bournemouth completed 288. Arsenal had 10 corners, Bournemouth had 1. Arsenal had 52.7% possession, Bournemouth had 47.3%. Now here is my comment on those numbers. On paper, Arsenal dominated almost every statistical category that normally tells you who is going to win a football match, and yet the scoreboard read 1-2 in favour of the visitors. This is the most dangerous kind of defeat for a title-chasing team. It is the kind of defeat where you cannot even point to the statistics and say your team was outplayed. Arsenal were not outplayed in terms of the ball. They were outplayed in terms of belief, clinical finishing and mental sharpness. Having 15 shots and only converting 1 goal from 3 shots on target tells you everything about the wasteful nature of this performance. Bournemouth needed fewer chances and took them better. That is what champions do. And on this day, Bournemouth behaved more like champions than Arsenal did. Before we go further, I want to pause for just a moment and speak directly to you watching this. If you want this level of detailed football analysis every time something major happens at Arsenal, then please hit that subscribe button right now. Join the Melissa Arsenal analyst community. We break down not just what happened, but why it happened and what it means for the bigger picture. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and let us get back to the story. Because the story today is huge. Going into this match, Arsenal sat at the top of the Premier League table with 70 points from 32 games. Manchester City was second with 61 points from 30 games. Arsenal had a 9-point lead with 7 games remaining. That was a cushion that gave them genuine breathing room. Even if they lost to Manchester City in the upcoming weeks, they could still win the title. But now, if Manchester City win their game at Chelsea on Sunday the 12th of April, that lead shrinks to 6 points, and City have 2 games in hand. The title race, which looked almost settled, has suddenly been blown wide open. The reality for Arsenal now is this. The Manchester City fixture is no longer just another big game. It is now a must-win match, not a should-win, not a would-be-nice-to-win, a must-win. If you are subscribing for the first time, and if you are new here, this channel is where we do not sugarcoat anything. We analyse the facts, we face the difficult truths, and we give Arsenal fans the honest pick. Subscribe now and stay with us through what is going to be a dramatic final few weeks of this season. The goals and how they happened. Let us now go through exactly how this defeat unfolded. The opening goal came from Eli Junior Krupi in the 17th minute. This is a player who is reportedly a transfer target for Arsenal themselves. Think about that for a moment. A player they apparently want to sign in the future came to their home ground and scored against them. That is one of those moments in football that feels almost too symbolic. The equaliser came from Victor Gyokeres in the 35th minute from the penalty spot. Victor Gyokeres stepping up and converting a penalty with the kind of composure that former England international Owen Hargreaves described on air as, and I am reading his words here, Harry Kane-esque. That is high praise, and it is deserved. The penalty was taken with ice-cold calm. For a brief moment, it seemed Arsenal had steadied the ship. But then came the 74th minute. Alex Scott, who has been described publicly as a boyhood Tottenham fan, scored the winner for Bournemouth at the Emirates against Arsenal in a title-deciding run-in. The fact that this detail is being highlighted widely tells you how much it stings for the Arsenal fan base. Now, here is my analysis of how this second goal came about. There is a tactical point that has been raised, and it is an important one. In the build-up to Bournemouth's first goal, Noni Madueke's defensive positioning came under scrutiny. The analysis suggests that Madueke pulled too far inside and lost track of Truffett's run into space. That allowed the move to develop and ultimately led to the goal. This is not about blaming one player. This is about a collective defensive organisation that was not sharp enough on the day. When you are defending a title, every individual error carries amplified consequences. Madueke's positional mistake in that moment is the kind of detail that wins and loses championships. The Raya pass map, a tactical alarm bell. Here is a detail that I find deeply concerning from an analytical perspective. During this match, goalkeeper David Raya received 38 passes back from his own teammates. 38 in one game. Now let that sink in. Arsenal had possession for more than half the match. They had 15 shots. And yet their goalkeeper was receiving the ball back from his outfield players 38 times. That number tells us that Arsenal were not moving the ball forward with confidence. They were recycling, going backwards, going sideways and going back to the goalkeeper far too often. This is not a David Raya problem. Raya's distribution has been consistently praised and his performance today was rated solidly. This is a team problem. This is a problem of players being afraid to take the ball forward, afraid to make progressive passes, afraid to commit to attacking movements under pressure. When you are chasing a Premier League title after 22 years without one, the psychological weight can make players retreat into safety instead of driving forward with conviction. The pass map to Raya today is a visual representation of that anxiety. The SofaScore data, what the expected goals tell us, the expected goals figures from this match are striking. Arsenal's expected goals total was 2.41. Bournemouth's was 1.20. Arsenal had 4 big chances. Bournemouth had 2. Arsenal had the significantly better quality of opportunities, and yet Arsenal scored once and Bournemouth scored twice. This is what analysts call a performance-result disconnect. Arsenal performed better than the result suggests in terms of chance creation, but Bournemouth performed better than their expected goals suggest in terms of finishing. The two things combined created an outcome that statistically should not have happened, but in football, statistics do not play the game. People do. And on this day, Bournemouth's people wanted it more. Arsenal's form collapsed. The numbers are alarming. Let us now look at the broader form picture, because this is where the real alarm bells are ringing. Before the EFL Cup final this season, Arsenal had 3 defeats, 8 draws and 38 wins. That is a remarkable record across all competitions. They were the dominant force in English football this season, without question. Since the EFL Cup final, and including that game, Arsenal have 3 defeats, 0 draws and just 1 win. 4 games, 3 losses, 1 win, no draws. The sequence of results since the EFL Cup final reads as follows. Arsenal 0, Manchester City 2 in the EFL Cup final on the 22nd of March. Southampton 2, Arsenal 1 in the FA Cup on the 4th of April. Sporting 0, Arsenal 1 in the Champions League on the 7th of April. And now Arsenal 1, Bournemouth 2 in the Premier League today, out of the EFL Cup, out of the FA Cup. And now a damaging Premier League defeat at home. Here is the analytical point that nobody can ignore. Arsenal had only 3 defeats in their opening 49 matches this season across all competitions. They were extraordinarily consistent. Then something changed around the EFL Cup final. Whether it was the psychological impact of losing a cup final, fatigue or opponents figuring out how to press them, the evidence is undeniable. Arsenal have lost 3 of their last 4 matches in the most critical period of their season. This is not a blip. This is a pattern, and patterns at the wrong time of the season define legacies. The title race mathematics. Now, let us talk about what this all means for the title race, because the mathematics have shifted significantly. If Manchester City win all of their remaining games, they will finish on 85 points. If Arsenal lose to Manchester City but win every single one of their other remaining matches, Arsenal will also finish on 85 points. In that scenario, the Premier League title would be decided by goal difference. Right now, Arsenal's goal difference is 38, Manchester City's goal difference is 32. So in that specific scenario, Arsenal would currently have the better goal difference. But City have games remaining in which they can improve their goal difference significantly, and Arsenal's performances of late have not exactly been goal-heavy. The situation is genuinely on a knife edge. Arsenal's next 6 fixtures are Sporting CP at home, Manchester City away, Newcastle at home, Fulham at home, West Ham away and Burnley at home. The Manchester City away fixture is the one that everybody is looking at. Win that and Arsenal almost certainly win the league. Lose it and we could be heading into the final day of the season with the title still undecided. Aaron Ramsey, who was part of Arsenal teams that competed for this title himself and who won a Serie A title with Juventus, gave his immediate reaction after today's result. He acknowledged it was an opportunity missed to take full control of the title race. He credited Bournemouth for their intensity and their ability to control large periods of the game. But he also made the point that there is still a long way to go and that Arsenal can go to Manchester City next week and focus entirely on that fixture. Ramsey's message was measured but honest. He knows what it means when a big opportunity is missed in a title race. He has lived it, and today was one of those moments. The player ratings breakdown, who let Arsenal down? Let us now go through the individual performances because this is where the accountability needs to sit. David Raya, 6 out of 10, largely not at fault for either goal. The first goal involved a deflection that looped over him. The second was described as unstoppable. Distribution was excellent as always. This was not a goalkeeper's failure. Ben White, 3 out of 10. This is the lowest individual outfield rating of the match, and it comes after what has been described as a third consecutive poor performance in an Arsenal shirt. White allowed his man to get in behind him for the opening goal. At the top level, at this stage of the season, that is not acceptable. 3 poor performances in a row from a player in his position is a serious concern. William Saliba, 4 out of 10. The deflection off Saliba contributed to the first goal. He was described as off the pace in an uncharacteristic display. For a player who has been arguably Arsenal's most reliable defender this season, this was a worrying off day. Gabriel Magalhaes, 6 out of 10. He was actually one of the brighter defensive performers. His presence won Arsenal the penalty to equalise, and he made an important tackle late in the game to prevent it becoming 3-1. Miles Lewis-Skelly, 5 out of 10, showed some moments of good reading of the game, but did not do enough overall to justify his starting position. Martin Zubimendi, 4 out of 10. This is an interesting one analytically. Zubimendi is a player who excels when Arsenal are in control and dominating possession. When the team needs to chase a game or fight for momentum, he does not provide enough energy or aggression. Fans inside the stadium were reportedly frustrated with him for passing backwards and sideways too regularly. He also struggled in his individual duels against Ryan Christie. This is a tactical point that Arteta may need to address. Zubimendi's qualities are real, but they are conditional, and conditions were not right today. Declan Rice, 7 out of 10, the standout performer, captain's display. He battled in midfield, he rolled his sleeves up when Arsenal went a goal down, and he tried to carry the team. He could not do it alone, but he was also making his 100th Premier League start for Arsenal today. On that milestone, he became the 5th youngest player to make 100 Premier League starts for 2 different clubs, joining the company of Frank Lampard, Emile Heskey, Joe Cole and Rio Ferdinand. On a dark day for the club, Declan Rice's commitment and quality was a genuine bright spot. Kai Havertz, 4 out of 10, was expected to form a partnership with Victor Gyokeres that Mikel Arteta had reportedly been excited about. It did not happen today. The two were described as disconnected. Havertz was substituted in the 53rd minute. He did not look comfortable in his current position. Noni Madueke, 5 out of 10, bright and direct in moments, but execution was not there. Also carries that defensive question mark over him from the build-up to the first goal, as we discussed. Substituted in the 53rd minute, Victor Gyokeres, 5 out of 10. He pressed well in the opening 10 minutes and scored that brilliant penalty, but he faded. He was isolated in general play. He missed a significant chance late in the game when Arsenal were 2-1 down that could have changed everything. For a striker of his quality, that missed opportunity will hurt. And yet, context matters here. Gyokeres has now scored 18 goals in all competitions this season. That makes him the top scorer in the Mikel Arteta era, surpassing Alexander Lacazette, who scored 17 in the 2020-21 season. Only Thierry Henry with 26 goals in 1992-2000 and Alexis Sanchez with 25 goals in 2014-15 have scored more in a debut season for Arsenal in the Premier League era. Even on a difficult day, Victor Gyokeres is having a historic first season at this club. Gabriel Martinelli, 4 out of 10. He had one moment where his pace created a chance for Arsenal, but outside of that, he was ineffective. The same story that has followed Martinelli for most of this season. Potential, pace, but no final product. From the substitutes bench, Max Dowman received 4 out of 10, which has been flagged as his worst rating of the season. This is a 16-year-old who has been a genuine positive for Arsenal in recent weeks, so context is important here. But today was not his day. Leandro Trossard came on and worked hard, making a crucial defensive tackle and block, but could not create enough going forward. Eberechi Eze, rated 6 out of 10, was immediately brighter than Havertz when he came on and looked hungry for the ball. His return from injury could be important for Arsenal going forward. Christian Mosquera came in at right-back due to Ben White's struggles and did not provide what was needed. Gabriel Jesus looked dangerous and nearly scored with a header but could not complete the job. What the pundits and analysts are saying. Let me now bring in the wider perspective from some of the voices who have reacted to this result. Martin Keown, the former Arsenal defender, used the word huge. He said this is a huge disappointment. He pointed out that it has been the same story multiple times now, with opponents like Southampton and Bournemouth putting in their best performances against Arsenal. He noted that the pressure was too much for Arsenal at times today and that the team was lacking energy. He called for personalities to come forward and leaders to emerge. He said the wheels must not come off, and he acknowledged that Arsenal still control their own fate if they can beat Manchester City. Henry Winter, one of the most respected football journalists in England, described the result in 3 words: fearful 1, fearless 2. He said Bournemouth played with a belief that too many Arsenal players lacked. He described Arsenal as too nervous, with too few players willing to take responsibility. He noted that Bournemouth becoming the 13th team to beat the league leaders this season is another reminder of what makes the Premier League so unpredictable. Piers Morgan, a well-known Arsenal supporter, expressed raw disbelief. He questioned how Bournemouth, a team with nothing to play for, could show 10 times more desire than Arsenal, who have a chance to win the league for the first time in 22 years. Adam Keyes made one of the sharpest observations: 9 points clear with 7 games remaining, and Arsenal produced what he described as relegation-worthy football for much of the afternoon. He said there is no defending it and that the mentality shown is not the mentality of champions. Arteta's response: the ultimatum. Mikel Arteta spoke after the game and his words were striking. He said it has hurt the players a lot today. He said the players have to take it on the chin. He said there are no grey areas now. And then he delivered what can only be described as an ultimatum. He said they either stand up for the fight or they are out. He acknowledged it is a huge week ahead, but said they have to be better. In an earlier statement, he described it as a big punch in the face and was honest about the team being far from efficient. He acknowledged they did a lot of strange things today. Now, here is my analytical reading of Arteta's words. This is not a manager in denial. He is not making excuses. He is not blaming circumstances. He is drawing a line in the sand. The language he is using, stand up for the fight or we are out, is the language of a manager who knows the season is at a critical point and who is demanding a response from his players. Whether the players respond to that challenge is the defining question of Arsenal's next 2 weeks. The wider picture, is this a bottling job? The uncomfortable question that now faces Arsenal and their supporters is one that has been raised before. Is this another bottle job? Has happened in previous seasons. Arsenal building big leads, looking like champions in waiting, and then losing form at the most critical time. The evidence from the last few weeks fits that pattern. The EFL Cup final loss, the FA Cup exit, and now this. But the evidence also shows this. Arsenal are still top of the Premier League. They still have a lead. They still control their own destiny. If they win their remaining games, including the one against Manchester City, the title is theirs. No other result matters. No other performance matters. Only what happens next. The situation is not hopeless, but it is serious. And the evidence suggests that this Arsenal squad needs to find something deeper inside themselves in the next few weeks than what they showed today. Let me bring this together for you now. Arsenal lost 1-2 to Bournemouth today at the Emirates. The stats showed Arsenal as the better team on the day, but stats do not win matches. Mentality does, execution does, belief does. And in all 3 of those areas, Bournemouth were better. The title race is now back on in a very real sense. Manchester City will be fully aware that Arsenal are vulnerable. Pep Guardiola will be preparing his team to take full advantage when the 2 sides meet. Arsenal's season now comes down to a single week that will define everything. The Champions League second leg against Sporting CP at home midweek. Then Manchester City away. Those two results will tell us everything we need to know about whether this Arsenal squad has what it takes to finally end that 22-year wait for a league title. The players know it, the manager knows it, the fans know it. Victor Gyokeres can be the hero of this story. His 18 goals this season are historic. His quality is not in question. The question is whether the team around him can rise to the level this moment demands. Declan Rice showed today that he is ready to be that leader. Others need to follow. I am Melissa. This has been Melissa, Arsenal analyst. If you found this analysis valuable, please subscribe to this channel, like this video and share it with every Arsenal fan you know. We will be back with more analysis ahead of what is going to be the biggest week of Arsenal's season. Thank you for watching and stay with us.